Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Quick and Slow Comedy Show video podcast. Today we are at Big Rig Distillery, and we're joined by podcast alumni Alex Fortin, I guess.
Alumni? This is the third one.
This is your third one. And the owner of the distillery, Jeff.
Hi there.
Jeff, you started this just last year?
That's right. About a year and a half ago, we got the building. Took us about 6 months to get all the equipment together. And we've been selling since October 17th last year.
And you make some of probably the most delicious spirits I think I've ever had.
Thank you very much.
I had some I originally met you at the Alberta Craft Beer Festival, and I was doing my man on the street interview thing there, and it was weird because I had to drink 300 from 300 different people, and I didn't remember much, but I remember how good this was.
Oh, that's good if you remembered it.
Yeah, it was delicious. But there's so much of your product that I haven't tried since then because you keep on rolling out some cool stuff.
We're one of the first craft distilleries in Alberta, and we want to stay ahead of everybody else. So we're trying to be innovative pretty much every day, actually.
Which, that's weird, because I know you mentioned that earlier, and it kind of was weird to me where you're like, we're one of the first craft, and I was like, didn't you just start like a year ago? Like what? So what's the deal with that? There was like a law?
Yeah, so basically coming out of Prohibition, they put some laws in place that said if you didn't make 20,000 liters a month, you couldn't have a license. So no little guys could do it. Only a big company like a Smirnoff or a Seagram's could pull it off.
Good, that's what we want. We want more we want more big corporations taking up the market.
Yeah, more subpar.
So they removed that kind of law for beer and wine about 4.5, 5 years ago, and they were a little bit late getting it changed for hard liquor, so we got on it as soon as we heard the laws were changing, and we're the first one in Northern Alberta, actually. So
that's kick-ass. I didn't even know that, because that's probably where the craft beer boom came from.
It is, absolutely. There were a lot of guys that were making beer in their garages and making some pretty good stuff, but they weren't really allowed to sell it legally, which kind of I was doing too, actually. That's my moonshine is still over here.
Yeah.
Had that in the garage for a while going. If we'd got caught, we'd got in some pretty big trouble and got a big fine. But once we heard the laws were changing, I went down to Seattle to learn how to do it properly.
Yeah.
Right on.
Rather than moonshining, and I went to out to a bourbon distillery in Fairborn, Ohio, and I did an apprenticeship with those guys down there.
Wow.
So had to get the proper education, not the garage education to do
Nice.
this.
Get it all in. That's sweet. I love all this stuff. Like, it all looks so badass. I like you guys don't do anything small. There's like huge stills here. There's the moonshiner that's your like original one.
That's the original one.
Badass.
Massive.
Even just like the lights, it's just in your like
Hats.
Yeah,
The lights are
they're
hats.
top hats.
Yeah, it's very steampunk is what we say. So
Yeah,
when we had our grand opening a year ago, we actually had a steampunk band played right under those hats here. We had about 350 people in here.
We should do a comedy show.
that
here.
And everybody dressed up like it was 1920 and Prohibition had just ended. Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
Well, not
That's
just that, like
badass.
aesthetically, your bottles are freaking incredible. Like
we were trying to find a way to stand out on the shelves.
Yeah.
A lot of liquor stores, if you go in now, there's a big one in the south side of Edmonton. They have 6,700 products on their shelves. How do you stand out in that maze? I always tell people it's like Toys R Us for adults in there. But you got to be able to stand out somehow. And we thought the packaging might be a good way to do that. The Crystal Skull bottle stands out. But we decided that we wanted to make sure that our product wouldn't turn into a decanter like the Crystal Skull bottle does, where when it's empty, you poured other vodka into it. So that's why we have some very unique products that only we make.
Well, this stuff too, like before I had even seen the bottle, I had tried the product, which is kind of a backward way of getting into it. So it is one of those things where I think the taste of the product, it really stands out for itself. Alex was having some before, and what was it you were drinking?
Yeah, I was having it was the gin, which is my favorite. I love gin. I've drank so much fucking gin in my life. You were there when I threw up in Vegas. I threw up in a bowling alley because I drank too much gin.
Yeah, exactly.
But I drink it all the time.
But you were drinking the gin here.
I don't know. It's on there somewhere.
Right here.
And you were telling us about that. It's a little like less juniper-y.
Quite a bit less juniper-y. So this style of gin evolved in North America as a cocktail gin.
Yeah.
It's called a complex floral gin.
Yeah.
And Gin always has juniper in it. That's what gives it its piney taste. But I don't like gin that tastes like pine sol, so this doesn't.
Yeah.
Our main ingredient is actually wild rose hips and wild rose petals. So this is very floral gin.
Very Albertan.
Berta as fuck.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So Berta.
Yeah.
We also pick crab apples that we put in there. We put Saskatoon berries in our recipe. We put chamomile, all things that we can go forage ourselves around Alberta here, actually.
That's kick ass.
This type of gin, it really needs to be tasted in a cocktail, though. It's not the type of gin that you actually are supposed to make a martini with.
Yeah.
You actually need a more piney gin for that. Yeah.
Well, I was drinking it with the
Gin and
grapefruit
juice?
juice or the pamplemousse juice, as I like to call it,
Pamplemousse.
because I'm French.
A little bilingual, yeah.
A little bit of bilingual, and pamplemousse juice sounds better.
Yeah, it does.
It's got a rhythm to it.
Yeah, it sounds like a rap song.
The gin and the pamplemousse juice. It's
Now I want you to try our vodka and see if you think that it tastes like poison or not.
all right. Here we go.
So we do
This is the
something pretty
test.
unique with our vodka. We put about 5% rye in our vodka. And
Okay.
Nobody else is doing this. And the reason we're doing it is because our bottle looks like a little drilling rig. We're actually starting to get some distribution into the States, specifically into Texas.
Oh yeah.
And we want the Americans to taste the rye that's in there, because Americans don't make rye whiskey very much. They
Yeah, it's
make
pretty-
bourbon, that sweet Jack Daniels kind of taste. So
Southern
they identify
comfort,
the
yeah.
spiciness of rye as a Canadian flavor.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
trying to create a brand of Canadian vodka is what we're trying to do.
And your vodka, how many times is it distilled?
Oh, we run it through this big system behind us here, and we got a 16-plate column here. So it's basically 16 distillation cycles that it goes through.
Okay.
It's
that
a
seems-
simplified way of explaining
That
it,
seems
but
very like obsessive compulsive.
it's a little over the top, especially for a craft distillery. But
Yeah.
we knew when we were setting this up that we were never going to be able to compete price-wise with a Smirnoff or a Seagram's, that we were going to have to compete with the high-end guys. So we needed a piece of equipment that could make high-end liquor.
It's fucking worth it.
Does it work?
That is so
You didn't throw up. You didn't think it was. You're not dying. It's not
No.
poison. All right,
There
good.
wasn't even, there was no vodka face. There was no.
No.
oh.
No.
You taste that little bit of rye when it went down the
Yeah,
hatch, a little
absolutely.
spice
The
there.
little- yeah, I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
gonna
you
say
betcha.
exactly that
It's a
bite to
subtle
it.
flavor, but it makes it stand out from other vodkas. We actually just won an award with this vodka with
That's
the
phenomenal.
Alberta Beverage Awards. Actually, yeah.
What?
Well, I've had
Awesome.
that's unreal. I've bartended and like been in the industry for a long time.
Ooh,
and so
brag much.
I tried. So, anyways, I'm a degenerate,
Yeah.
and so
Bragging
I
about your minimum wage over there.
just went up to $12.20. All right, it's a living wage now.
There you go.
NDP. All right. So, but I've tried so many different vodkas and I always want one that doesn't fucking suck. It never happens. There's two other vodkas that I've actually like. There's Keeley's Diamond Filtered Vodka.
You betcha, yeah.
Which is literally filtered through diamonds and is crazy
I
expensive.
don't know
and
if they're a good
it's
filter.
gluten-free. Yeah, I
It's
don't know.
gluten free.
Yeah, it's gluten free, and it's actually really good. So Keeley's is great, and then there's one made in Texas called Tito's vodka.
You betcha, absolutely.
Um,
So Tito's is the only other company that tries to put a little bit of flavor in their vodka.
there?
There's
Okay.
actually a corn base to theirs, which is the bourbon base.
Yeah.
So theirs is kind of a bourbon tasting vodka. Ours is a rye tasting
I was
vodka.
gonna say-
And Tito's is actually the #1 selling vodka in the States right
Yeah,
now.
it's
so maybe
phenomenal.
this will do the same thing.
Fingers crossed. Well, if you have drank Tito's vodka, I'm pointing at the cameras right now and telling you, if you like Tito's, this is better. It's
Oh, thank you.
It is.
Thank you very much.
because I was going to say it's very similar to Tito's before I knew the corn. Because it's the same. There's not that vodka like. It's almost
Paint
like
thinner.
Yeah,
It doesn't taste like paint thinner.
You know, like when you have a Hall's like cough drop and your throat stays like cold for a little bit. That's usually what happens with vodka, but I didn't get that with this, and I don't
bet.
get that with Tito's.
You don't
and
get the
that's-
medicine burn.
Yeah, yeah. No medicine.
Well, the one
burns on
thing I
this.
noticed about the vodka is I don't think I've ever had a Caesar that good.
Oh yeah, well you have.
Yeah, the Caesar is like I don't know what it is, but it changes how it tastes.
So I don't know if you had a Caesar with the regular vodka or if you had the Caesar with our best-selling product, which is garlic flavored vodka.
It's garlic flavored vodka.
And you can actually, if you get the camera close, you can see the chunks of garlic floating around. It's our little garlic snow globe, we like to call it there, yes.
Nice.
So we use real garlic. We get it from a fella that's about 3 miles from here. He's about 90 years old. Comes in here all hunched over with his cardboard box and drops it off. He makes me pay him in cash out of the cash register.
Wow.
So, and
Cool.
we hand peel and we slap chop the hell out of about 10 pounds of that stuff. We throw it in one of these big barrels with 200 liters of vodka, and we let it sit for about 10 days, stir it about 5 times a day.
Wow.
Natural infusion,
kick-ass.
nothing else in there other than Russian red, garlic, and our vodka.
Cool.
When you mix that stuff with the traditional Clamato juice and
Yeah.
a little bit of of Worcester and that splash of Tabasco like you normally put into a Caesar, it makes a Caesar like no other. So that's why it tastes so different. It's the garlic that's in there.
Yeah.
And little trick, don't forget pickle juice in Caesars. I hate Caesars, but as a bartender,
What?
I know I don't like them. But also, this is super Alberta because Caesars are such an Alberta thing. They started in Calgary. They were originally from Calgary. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
They sound a lot more like Roman.
I know. Right? And with a salad also.
So that's our number one selling product, actually.
Yeah.
That's like the most Berta thing ever. Just an oil rig with garlic vodka for Caesars.
There was an article in Avenue magazine that the caption on it was, "Did Big Rig Distillery just create the most Alberta drink of all time?"
Yeah.
So that was pretty huge that they put that on there.
Berta,
That's awesome.
Berta.
So I'll give you a taste of our second best-selling product, but you got to help me get the cap off
What
this
is
bad
this?
boy.
The double
Go.
double. Coffee cream liqueur double double.
Yeah, this is our number 2 right here.
Which I don't think is a legal term for anything that Tim Hortons does. I don't think it's on their menu.
We always used to joke and say that we were going to try and get sued by Tim Hortons to get some free publicity out of the deal.
No publicity is bad.
And one of our customers actually took a picture of this bottle and sent the picture right to the president of Tim Hortons,
That's
trying to poke
awesome.
the bear, and
then
it didn't work. No,
Did he order some?
Hey,
I should
cheers.
just send him some. I think.
Yeah, send him as a present.
Oh, that's good.
So Bailey's,
fantastic as well.
it's got a couple flavors in it.
Yeah.
Again, we put about 20 flavors in this, kind of like our gin. We put about 20 different things in the flavoring.
That is delicious.
And this is a rum base rather than a whiskey base, so it doesn't have that harsh whiskey aftertaste.
Oh, that's why.
Some
That
of
it
betcha.
tastes extra sweet.
Absolutely.
Very creamy.
Okay.
That's delicious.
So we're pretty happy with that product. We kind
That
of
stuff's
can't make that
dangerously
fast
delicious. Because that stuff's the sort of thing where I think you would sit down and drink a glass of it and then get up and not realize you're drunk.
It's not too high a percentage, so you can drink the whole bottle, actually.
Wow.
And we will.
I got permission.
What else can I show you
I
over
don't know.
here?
You apparently you have your own unique approach on rum too, don't you?
We do, actually. So there's a couple principles about craft distilling. One is that you only source your input products locally.
Yeah.
The other is you hire local people rather than automating things, and then you sell locally. And that way the money stays in the community circulating.
I was gonna say this seems like everything is so Alberta. Like everything is
much.
very, very Canadian, and I feel like Alberta's a pretty proud people, which is dope. Like I'm born and raised here, and I fucking love Alberta more than anything, and all of this makes me so happy.
You love gin and Alberta.
yeah. Okay, that's right. Alberta's a close second to gin.
Yeah.
So we have a problem with Alberta, though, because nobody grows sugarcane in Alberta. And that's what rum is
Oh.
traditionally made from. And there's actually a law. There's an international law that says that rum has to be made from 100% sugarcane. We grow a ton of sugar beets in Tabor, though, and you can make rum from that.
Right by the corn.
I was
Wow.
actually down there 3 weeks ago helping our sugar beet farmer harvest sugar beets. Hey, Dave, if you're watching. And we use coarse, unrefined sugar beet sugar mixed with cane molasses to make something that we call brum. Now, by law, we're not allowed to call it rum because it's not 100% sugar cane. So I was dealing with this guy from the government. I was saying, well, can I call it sugar beet rum? And he says, no. I said, can I call it beet rum? He says, no. I said, well, what can I call it? He says, you can call it whatever you want, but you can't call it rum. I said, but it is rum. He goes, yeah, I know it's rum, but you can't call it rum. Typical government, right?
A rose by any other name.
So I said, well, can I call it brum? He goes, yeah, you can call it brum. Go ahead. So we put the B in the front for beet, and we're allowed to sell it. It's a little bit sweeter than a regular rum, but it's a real nice mixing rum. Actually, the boys like sipping on it at the end of the day here. So this is the end of the day drink around here, actually.
So is it similar to like Captain Morgan, like a spiced rum? Or
No,
is it just like a dark
it's
rum,
it's the one I
Rum?
find it's the closest to
dark
is a
rum.
rum called Diplomatico, which is a Venezuelan rum. It's got a heavy molasses note to it, so kind of maybe halfway between that and an Appleton's. The Diplomatico stuff is pretty high-end stuff. It usually sells for about $85 a bottle.
Oh, wow.
We sell this stuff in our store for $47, so you're getting a deal, and it's in a cooler bottle.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's good.
That
That's
is
really
You sound
good.
surprised. Why do you sound surprised?
That's like I was expecting maybe like it to be harsh in the beginning or to have like an aftertaste, but the whole way through.
Well, that's pretty nice, smooth stuff. It'll warm you
Yeah,
up, though.
That
It's
is,
good.
yeah, that was the one I think I was most scared of trying, other than the garlic vodka. But I
It
was-
tastes like
Hey,
Christmas.
by the end of this, we're gonna have you doing a shot of that garlic vodka
yeah, I expected like a borscht flavor from
with the
Yeah.
beets. Yeah,
this purple. Like,
yeah, no, that was actually really good. It was like it tastes like Christmas.
I got one that tastes
Not quite
even
too
more
Christmassy.
Christmas than that.
What?
This is a product we just put out about a week ago.
Alberta
Cassette cap.
moonshine.
This is
okay. Now I've had moonshine before, and I wouldn't say taste is a thing. It's more of an experience.
This burns like Christmas.
Well, I
You get
gotta-
all the memories.
There's quite a story behind this stuff. So
Okay.
when I was down in Ohio doing my apprenticeship, I was riding a motorbike to go down there, and I pulled into the parking lot of the hotel. Didn't even have the saddlebags off of the bike yet, and this old 3/4 ton rumbles up with no muffler on it.
Yeah.
And Grandma and Grandpa are in there, and they're saying, "Can I interest you folks in some genuine Ohio moonshine?" And I'm like, "Hell yes, you can, absolutely." So we end up BSing with them for about 45 minutes, and bought a mason jar of this murky stuff that had a cinnamon stick in it, and away they drove again. Their $20. And there was about 12 of us in the group, actually.
What sort of liquor license do you need to sell off the
Yeah,
back of your
yeah,
truck?
that's totally not legit. But what the hell? So who's going blind first? I got nominated, right? So I tried this stuff, and it was the best apple pie moonshine I've ever tasted in my life. It was fantastic. And they're driving away, and so it actually took me a while, but I tracked her down, and I talked her out of her recipe. So this is Grandma's apple pie moonshine
No
recipe.
way.
Yeah.
What?
Now, they didn't actually make the moonshine. Grandpa was a moonshine runner. So he would go from
Smokey the
Ohio
Bandit.
into Kentucky with that old 3/4 ton,
Yeah.
and there was a slip tank in the back for fuel. And he would go to the wholesaler
Oh.
moonshiner guy and buy 95% moonshine. He'd bring it, smuggle it back over the border, and Grandma's job was to tone it down to the point you could drink it and make it taste good like this. So this actually tastes like apple cobbler,
This, yeah, it doesn't smell like moonshine.
and
like,
it is not harsh at all. So I'm
Smell
so
it.
happy I have her recipe.
It doesn't like normally moonshine smells like gasoline.
It smells sweet.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Copperhead Road. Go listen to the song Copperhead Road and then buy a couple of these.
There's no
phenomenal.
No?
That
No
is-
burn.
Grandma
That
knew
does-
how to do it right.
tastes like an apple pie.
That is insane.
Yeah, we got some cinnamon, some
Do you have-
caramel.
Do you have anything that tastes bad?
No, I don't think
Oh,
so. I
that's
don't think so.
Garlic vodka.
Why don't more people make drinks like that? Like, here's the thing. Like, a lot of these taste so
Buying
good.
one of those on the
I
way
don't
out.
want, like, a mixed
That's
drink.
retarded.
Like, a lot of them are good enough that you should, like,
We're trying to make everything so it's sipping class. So that's a
Yeah.
higher category. So, like I said before, we can't compete with Smirnoff on a price point. So we have to make something that's good enough that you want to just drink it on its own.
Yeah, you don't want to be trying to go up against McDonald's if you're a restaurant. You
exactly.
want to make your niche and
yeah.
get some high class. That's unreal. Which I think brings us to this badass little.
Yeah, you were telling this.
This is the coolest
us about
thing,
this
I think.
before
You
it
betcha.
ran, and it's got a stick in it.
It does. That stick's actually a piece of a barrel that Grant, one of our guys, cut up.
Is
Yeah.
it like
and we
one
toasted.
of these?
One of these ones, actually. Yeah,
these
you betcha.
babies?
So what happens to whiskey inside of a barrel, the way that it makes it taste better is the inside of the barrel is burnt, so it
Yeah.
acts like a carbon filter, like a Brita filter. So that makes the
Okay.
liquor smoother the more it's in contact with it. You were talking about the diamonds before.
Yeah.
The way you make liquor taste better is to run it through carbon, not diamonds.
Oh, yeah.
So they missed the process by
Technically the same thing.
You could save
apparently.
a lot of money just getting carbon rather than diamonds.
And then the
Is
other
that
thing,
where, like, if you get a lot of higher end whiskeys, you get that like really oaky taste? Like if you're drinking like the Johnny Walker Gold or whatever, it's
the higher end stuff,
Oak.
exactly. It's been in a better barrel for a longer amount of time. The type of wood they make the barrels out of is crucial too. It has to be American white oak because that kind of wood has vanilla and caramel and sugar actually in the wood, and over time that
Whoa.
goes into the liquor. It makes it sweeter, and that's actually what turns it from clear to brown. So you notice this is a bottle
Just
of
got the
our
stick on the
unaged
side.
rye, and it's clear.
And it's just got a stick hanging
And
on the
we're
side.
we're selling it with a piece of a barrel that we've cut up, dangling off the side. So you open the stuff. It's got a little bit of the moonshine taste because it hasn't had the benefit of being in the barrel yet. But you have a sip, then you've got enough room to put the stick in there without overflowing the bottle,
Yeah.
and you let it sit. And the longer you leave it, the more it's going to change color and change flavor. Now, if I was to make a batch of this rye and put it in one of these big barrels behind us, I have to leave it for a minimum of 3 years by law. That's what the government says.
Yeah.
Usually 5 is probably better.
Wow,
Well,
nobody's
you
got time
Or
for that.
18 on some of the
Uh,
gold stuff, right? Yeah, so
Oh.
we don't have time to wait that long. We got to keep the lights on. So we got to be able to sell some other stuff too.
And
But
what's the there's something with the Canadian before you can be an official Canadian rye whiskey. What is it?
3 years, yes, 3
Yeah.
years.
Okay.
So if I put it in one of these big barrels and I leave it for 3 years, it's going to be pretty sweet and it's going to be turned brown. If I was to put it into a smaller barrel, maybe a quarter the size of that, it would taste the same as this one does after 3 years in only 9 months because we have more surface area of wood compared to liquid, so it accelerates the aging process. So we just took that idea right into the bottle. So at this surface area to volume ratio, it actually only takes 6 to 8 weeks, and it tastes like it's been in that big barrel for 3 years.
Oh, nice.
So it's a way to sell whiskey early.
Giving away your secrets.
Hey, it's our, we don't hide anything.
So it's a rye distillate.
Yeah, so we're not allowed to call it rye whiskey. We have to call it this real sexy name, rye distillate.
Yeah,
who the hell wants to buy that, right?
Yeah.
There's a company out there selling it right now, White Owl. Have you seen White Owl whiskey?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
They're clear whiskey, right? Yeah. So I don't have a white owl. I have a white dog. You met her when you came in here.
Friendly
Charlie.
dog.
That's her picture on the front.
Oh.
And so we sell White Dog Rye, which is an unaged rye. We sell White Dog Corn, which is an unaged bourbon. We sell White Dog Malted Barley, which is an unaged Scotch. And we do a blended whiskey that's got a whole bunch of different grains in it, and we call it 10W40.
Wow.
And we're kind of playing on the oil thing a little bit.
That's very
here, right?
Albertan. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it kind of tastes like Gibson's a little bit. And all of those we have in barrels aging, and we're going to wait the 3 to 5 years to put them out.
Wow,
but in the
nice.
meantime, we can sell an unaged version of them. And I have a lot of booze nerd friends now because I own this place.
Yeah.
And they love this little chemistry experiment that they can do at home because you drop it in there, it actually starts changing color and flavor almost immediately. And they'll try it every 5 or 6 days. And when they get to a flavor they like, they pull the stick out. And they've aged their own whiskey. So they're part of the process, which is pretty
that's
unique
cool.
for sure.
Pretty
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah, you get to make your own.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm into that.
That's great. Okay, for the listener at home, how would they get a hold of this stuff?
We have distribution in about 145 liquor stores in Alberta right now.
That's a few.
If you go onto a thing called liquorconnect.com, they have a little map on there. If you type in Big Rig, and you can do a product search on there.
And it just pops up?
Best place to go, though, is to get in your car and drive to Nisku, where we're located, just by the airport in Edmonton. We'll give you a tour of our facility. We'll let you sample whatever you want to try. We'll give you a complimentary garlic vodka Caesar, our number one seller. And we have a little store on site where you can buy, too. And usually it's a little more affordable to buy it here.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. And one thing, being a bit of a drink nerd yourself, what is your favorite drink?
The gin by far is my favorite.
Just straight up gin?
Straight up, absolutely.
Gin and pamplemousse juice.
But part of it is because it's the hardest thing for us to make consistently.
Yeah.
When we make our garlic vodka, we take 10 pounds of garlic and we peel it and we throw it in 200 liters of vodka and we let it sit for 10 days, and it always tastes the same no matter what we do. When we do the gin, it's in a vapor form. So we take my old moonshining still, we fill it with the vodka, that premium vodka that you didn't think was terrible, and we re-steam it, and in the top of the steaming chamber, we make a tea bag up, a little cheesecloth bag, and that's where we put all those juniper berries and crab apples and things like that. And one day we'll make it, and it tastes fantastic. And then the next day we try and make it again, and it tastes terrible. And we're like, well, what did we do wrong? We measured all the ingredients the same. We did all the exact same process. The one batch, it took us 9 times before it tasted good again.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
And then we finally figured out what it was that was going on. Because it's in a vapor form, these stills are open to the atmospheric pressure.
Yeah.
If a high-pressure system comes in, the steam goes through the little tea bag slower, so it picks up too much flavor. Or a low-pressure system comes in, and it rips through there, doesn't pick up any flavor at all. So we got to check barometric pressure to find out what days we can make
You're
gin.
out there checking the kilopascals.
Absolutely,
making
you
sure-
got it. And when you go to school to learn how to do that, they don't teach you that stuff.
There
You
is
got to
a-
figure this out on your own.
There's a lot
right?
of science to this.
It is. It's chemistry.
crazy.
I didn't think I'd ever use that damn chemistry, but
Yeah.
you do it every day here.
Yeah.
That's
There you
wicked.
go.
We actually had a Chem
Stay in
30
school.
class. Yeah, exactly. We had a
No.
Chem.
What? I want to go to that
We
school.
had a teacher brought her Chem 30 class in here this year, actually, and we took them through the whole process. I had handouts for them and showed them all the chemistry of each step. And then the very last page of the handout was actually how to build a still in your garage. So teacher wasn't too happy about that.
That is the best
field trip
ever. Wow, we went to an airplane museum. That was-
Yeah, I think she's pretty much the coolest teacher in
Yeah.
the school now.
I had to
so-
go to
Yeah.
like church. That sounds way, that's way less good.
Yeah, you just get wine there. Okay, well, thanks for letting us come by.
Thank you
there's
very much.
A couple little behind-the-scenes stuff I kind of was wondering. Our sound guy, Tom, is a huge Caesar nerd, and he commonly makes Caesars on the podcast all the time.
Yeah, literally all the time.
No kidding.
Yeah, and
Usually with sriracha instead of Tabasco sauce. But
You bet, absolutely.
and I had told him that the best Caesar that I had ever had was here, so...
I will hook him up.
Yeah,
You
if we
betcha.
can.
yes, please.
Also, you guys have almost matching tattoos. I just noticed.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of what I did before.
Yeah?
Yeah. I did tattoos for a while before I did this, and I cleaned teeth before that, and did all kinds of weird jobs.
Wow.
But this is the only job I've ever had that didn't feel like work. It's pretty cool.
Right on.
Yeah, that's what we got to do.
That's the dream.
Yeah, that's us in comedy. Find what you love
Yeah.
and just do it.
It's great when you
Yeah.
can drink at it too.
Exactly.
Jeff
Just
of
like
many
comedy.
trades.
Pardon me?
A Jeff of many trades.
Yes,
Yeah.
apparently.
Hey guys, like this video, share this video, and comment with your favorite garlic pun that you can come up with, and you'll be entered to win a bottle of this. We'll be giving away the bottle 1 week after the video's done. After 18 months. It's really good.